What's up, fellas? This is a rarely seen thing on the channel, right? A positive video, and it's about the Oklahoma City Thunder. If you missed the first video of the day today, we got a little bit negative talking about the Chicago Bulls, and these are definitely two topical teams to talk about today because it was a very, very interesting game from last night. The Bulls had one of the worst collapses of the season at this point, and the Thunder are starting to look like a competent basketball team. So if you missed the Bulls video earlier, you can check that out. In this video, we're going to be talking about what the Thunder did right, not only last night, but what they've been doing right throughout the entire season, because it might not seem like much, but a 6-6 record through 12 games for the Oklahoma City Thunder is certainly significant in my opinion, because I did not think that this was going to be a team that was going to be A, any good, or B, all that competent, if I'm honest, because of the talent level on the roster. To this point, though, they've proven me wrong, and we're going to talk about why exactly that is. But really quickly, before we get started, if you enjoy content like this, consider subscribing. I upload twice a day, every day, all throughout the NBA season. So if you're looking for consistent NBA content, this is a great place to be. If you are new, my name is Tucker. What's up? You can also leave a like rating on the video as well. It helps me out a ton. And you can check me out at various socials at the bottom of the screen. They're in a link tree down in the description below. With those things said, let's talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. So as of right now, as I said, they have a 6-6 record. That is the 10th best record in the Western Conference, although technically they're tied for 7th place. So depending on how the tiebreakers worked out or whatever play-in game situation would come to fruition, if the playoffs started today, the Oklahoma City Thunder would be a playoff team potentially. They've won 4 of their last 6 games, including 2 huge comebacks, not only last night against the Bulls, in which they were down 22 in the third, down 16 with 5 minutes to go, but they also had a huge comeback earlier in the year, against the Brooklyn Nets as well. So they've shown this ability to come back in multiple different games. And it's kind of odd because, what exactly is happening here? Well, in short, if you're an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, if you're, a member of the front office in Oklahoma City, congrats, because you're doing everything right, absolutely everything right, not only in this season, but with your franchise as a whole. So we know the story to this point. They got all these future picks for Russ and for Paul George, and they got gilgeous-alexander, but they are continuing one of the most competent rebuilding stretches that we've ever seen in NBA history so far this season, because last year, they were better than a lot of people thought that they would be. They got Chris Paul. They rehabbed him into a significant trade asset to get even more assets for the future. And this year, they're doing a similar thing. And it's surprising because I didn't think that without Chris Paul, they would be able to do that. And they're managing to be at least a half-decent team in a very tough Western Conference for a couple of different reasons. A, they're taking a ton of three-point shots to give them a chance offensively, despite having one of the worst offensive ratings in the league. The volume of threes is at least keeping them in some of these games. They're playing at a fast pace as well that fits their very, very young roster, and they're managing to be a top half of the league team in terms of defensive rating, all of which are keeping them in games that realistically, from a talent perspective, they have no business being in. Now, for the individual players themselves, we have to start with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. SGA has been awesome. Coming into this season, I was keeping a close eye on him, and I still am. I'm not saying that all of my doubts about him have been erased, but if I did have doubts about SGA, it was, what is he going to look like when he is the guy? He played in a good situation with LA as a rookie, where they kind of, allowed him to just do the things he was good at. In his second season, he had Dennis Schroeder, he had Chris Paul to take a lot of the offensive responsibility, allowing him to be that all-around efficient player that we know that he can be. And this year, we were going to wait and see, can he be the guy? Can he be the focal point? And the answer to this point is a resounding yes. There's a significant increase in every single one of his per-game stats. His assists have jumped significantly while only having a minor increase in turnovers, which is huge. And from an efficiency standpoint, whether it be shooting from the field, from the free throw line, or otherwise, it's been really, really good. The three-point shot lags a little bit behind, but not in a way that makes me nervous at all. SGA has been fantastic as the focal point of the offense. That's one of the best things you could have expected to come out of the season if you're Oklahoma City. Hopefully he sustains that. The other part of this, and again, they're doing extremely well, is any player on the roster that has any kind of potential whatsoever is getting significant minutes. Whether that be Baisley, Diallo, Maladon, Roby, whoever it is, if you have some kind of potential to be a future rotation player, you're getting minutes on this Oklahoma City Thunder team. And whether those guys are producing at a high level or not is kind of irrelevant. They're just trying to develop players that are going to fit whatever they're building in the future. Now, the one name that I didn't mention there that I know Oklahoma City Thunder fans are fiending for me to mention here is Lu Dort. Lu Dort gets his own little section in this video because he went from last year as a rookie, this really interesting football player looking like guy that can defend, but what was he going to do offensively? He went from Andre Roberson levels of leave him alone, don't even guard him, to shooting over 5 threes a game this year and shooting 43% from the field, or from three. And it's not just standing by himself. Like, he did this in multiple games this season where he's taking off the dribble threes and knocking down shots from the three-point line. And I can only give him all the credit in the world for improving his shot. I'm hoping and anticipating that will continue throughout the season, and all the credit in the world to Lu Dort. And the reason that is significant, not only for him, but also for these other players that they're giving minutes to, is that will make it so much easier for them to be a complete team once they finally round this roster into whatever they want it to be, with all these future picks revolving around SGA and all those things. Or it creates even more trade assets for them to get future assets, or for them to cash them in for a significant player on the trade market whenever one does become available. Now, as we look at the roster as a whole, it's not a very talented one, but it's starting to become a situation in which you can very easily see a plug-and-play scenario where you bring in a star or two, or you draft a couple of really, really good players, and guys like Dort and Bazley and Diallo and Maledon and Roby are still there, and they're defending, they're knocking down shots, a little bit of shot creation, and everything works around the other high-level, high-upside guys that they brought in. And that includes the possibility of trading for someone like Bradley Beal, or trading for whoever ends up becoming available on the free agency market in the future, or on the trade market in the future, because everybody knows that Oklahoma City has a ton of assets, whether it be draft picks, pick swaps, or players. And the best part about this, potentially, for Oklahoma City, is that couple of Rockets pick swaps that they have as a result of the Russell Westbrook trade just got significantly better as a result of James Harden being traded away. And we don't know what that Rockets team is going to look like for the rest of the season, but obviously if Harden was at full strength and he decided to stay, or whatever the case may be, the Rockets were going to be at least a decent team this year. But I'm not sure that's that much of a guarantee anymore, which makes, again, even more valuable these pick swaps for Oklahoma City here moving forward. So as I said in the beginning, these dudes are doing every single thing right. And if you are a Thunder fan, all I would tell you is be very excited about this roster. Don't worry about the fact that, the record's starting to creep up, and I wouldn't worry about, oh my gosh, are we going to be better than we want to be over the next couple of seasons, and then our picks aren't going to be as good. You guys are going to be fine, because realistically, this record is going to fall back down to earth a little bit. There's no way they're going to be a 500 team in this tough of a Western Conference for the entire season. And B, you have so many draft picks that it doesn't really matter. Like, even if a pick that you're hoping for from Houston or from Phoenix or from Miami or from whoever doesn't end up where you want it to be, you can still, trade multiple picks and move up and go get a guy that you really, really want. So I wouldn't be worried about the draft picks or the positioning or anything like that at all if I was Oklahoma City. I would be excited about the development of the younger players. I would be excited about SGA looking like a legit focal point offensively, and a guy that fits well with pretty much anybody you want to bring in. We already knew that about him, but to this point in the season, he's proving that he can be the focal point guy as well. And then the only young guy that I haven't been impressed with at this point for Oklahoma City is Poku. He's just not ready. Like, he's the one guy that they're not really giving a ton of minutes to that is younger, because he's just not ready to be on the floor yet. And that's fine. Like, he's literally 19 years old, and he's like 140 pounds and 6'9". Like, he'll figure it out. Getting any kind of NBA minutes will be great for his development. He'll figure it out, and he should be at least a decent player in the future. So everybody else on the roster looks great. They're going to probably at some point turn Al Horford into some kind of, future draft pick, because that's just what Oklahoma City does. And they're just going to be constantly lurking. At any point that there is an opportunity for them to improve their future outlook, they're going to take advantage of that. And I would not be surprised to see them continue to be active on the trade market, whether it be trading away guys like George Hill or like Al Horford, as I mentioned, and continue to allow players like SGA, Lu Dort, Hamidou Diallo, Roby, Maledon, and eventually Poku as well, to continue to get better throughout the season. So all I can say, Oklahoma City, continue to do what you're doing. Thunder fans, be excited. There's a lot of really, really positive things happening there in Oklahoma City. But that is going to be the end of the second video of today. I thank you guys very much for watching. Once again, as I said in the beginning, my name is Tucker. A couple things I mentioned in the intro once again. I will be ideally, as of the recording of this video, I don't know if James Harden is playing yet, but if he does play tonight, I'll be doing a live stream tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern time, of his first game of the Nets, just kind of hanging out, watching the game with you guys. So be sure to check that out, 6 p.m. Eastern time, live on the YouTube channel right here. Also, subscribe if you're new. Like the video, helps me out a ton. Various socials at the bottom of the screen as well. With all those things said, hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. Hope everybody is staying safe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace, fellas.